Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Ich warte seit Wochen auf diesen Tag und tanz vor Freude über den Asphalt. Als wär's ein Rhythmus, als gäb's ein Lied, das mich immer weiter durch die Straßen zieht. Komm dir entgegen.
Hello and welcome to the Gegenpressing bonus podcast. My name is Stefan Binkowski. He's Manu Vate, and today we're delighted, as always, to be joined by our old friend Chris Williams. Chris, how you doing?
Gents, very good, thanks. Thanks for having me back on. Always a pleasure to come home.
Come home like the prodigal son.
I mean, probably not like that. Just like the guy that left for a bit and came home, and everyone's like, "Oh, you're back."
Did you ever leave? What? Oh, never mind.
I love hearing your voice, Chris. It's just so familiar. It just feels like you've never been gone.
Yeah, we were discussing with Chris was saying before we started recording that you can't get away from our voices right now, which to then we replied saying, well, it looks like our content plan's working quite well then, if you can't escape us online. But yes, so as our dear subscribers will know, the bonus show is one that we try to kind of use as an opportunity to talk about everything and anything to do with German football. It's not a transfer show. It's not a match day roundup. And this week we actually had a really great question from David Hall, one of our subscribers, and I think it probably, well, we thought it'd actually make for a really good kind of topic. So what I'll do is I'll just kind of read out David's question, and then I guess we can just kind of jump into it, guys. So David said, it seems like the Bundesliga top goal scorer's amount of goals and the league champion could both have very low goal point totals compared to the last 5 or 10 years. Is that because Bayern and Lewandowski skewed the norm during that span? Or is it because the league is getting worse overall? Or is it more partly league-wide? I think Hertha have more points this season already than any of the last place league teams in the last handful of years. And he says, I appreciate all you and Manu do for us, the Gegenpressing subscribers. So I think I'm fair to say, guys, that what David's really asking there is, why isn't anyone scoring any goals this season? And I think there's also maybe a kind of follow-up to that as to maybe why the league is a lot kind of more squished than it usually is. But I think we'll kind of start with the kind of goal-scoring question, because I have a few theories myself. And just kind of, before we kind of jump into it, I'll just quickly say, I'll do a quick rundown of who's scored what this season. So obviously Nicholas Füllkrug is top with 16 goals. Randall Kolomoani, Marcus Thuram, Grifo, they're on 13 goals. Chris Van Kook is on 12, and then Musiala is on 11. So that's kind of the roundup of the top goal scorers. Mm-hmm. Chris, you're the guest. Why don't you kick us off? What are your thoughts on this? Do you think it's harder to score in the Bundesliga as it used to be, or do you think there just aren't as many good forward players?
It's a really good question, to be honest. And I think it might be a mixture of two. I think the way football's being played is evolving slightly, even in the Bundesliga. And I think European-wide, it's evolving a little bit from what it was, which was high-octane football. I think it's taken a little bit of a breather because it's really hard to thrash players over 34, 40 games a season. So I think it's changed a little bit. Also, what you've said there as well is that there has been a little bit of an exodus of talent or goal scoring talent out of the league. Robert Lewandowski's gone to Barcelona. You were guaranteed to get minimum 30 goals a season. Wasn't that long ago where he smashed 41 in? Erling Haaland's obviously gone, and now he's making the Premier League look like my old school league where he's just scoring for fun. That's not me, by the way. Someone else scoring for fun. Wout Weghorst was another good goal scorer, has moved on. And yeah, I think football is evolving into a different prospect. And I think Borussia Dortmund are a really good example of that. They lost Erling Haaland, and they knew that they're going to have to backfill that with goals. Where are they going to get their goals from? And they seem to get goals from different areas. Okay, the strikers are still scoring, or the more forward players are still scoring, but they're getting goals from midfield, they're getting goals from right, they're getting goals from left. They're also getting goals from the centre midfield and backwards as well into the defence. So I think they've adapted. I think that's where Bayern have struggled a bit, and they've not adapted as well to losing Robert Lewandowski. But yes, a really good question.
Thank you for listening to Believe. You can show support to your host by subscribing to the show and giving us a 5-star rating on your preferred platform. Check us out at Believe.com and search for BLEAV on YouTube.